Hey, hello, my name is Eric and I'm from Gamemode. Today we are going to look into the multiplayer survival template. This is intended to be an overview video, more like your first rodeo within one of the multiplayer survival templates. I will be looking at the pro version right here, but the information displayed in this video is also applicable for the starter or the plus. So when you start it up, you will see this specific map right. And this map gives some crucial information. As an example, it shows where you're able to find the map, but also about the system recommendations. Currently, in all of the survival templates, I have enabled Nanite, Virtual Shadow Maps, and Lumen. They are set in the project settings right here. And if we search, you see that the global illumination method and the reflection method both are using Lumen. And we also use the virtual shadow maps. That one is right here. Instead of the default shadow maps of the older engine versions. And we use Nanite. All of these settings are really heavy on performance. So please know, if you're going to run one of these maps, make sure to have a later system which can run these settings or change these settings accordingly. When you have this specific system, you will see a lot of folders right here. But you just want to try it out in the first run. And what you can do, you can type map underscore and also filter on level, and this will show all the maps available in one of the multiplayer survival templates. This one is the pro version, so it has all of the maps. This means that every system, let's just take an example of the attribute manager, has a example map, and that example map is highly detailed, describing each setting of the attribute manager. So we've loaded up the attribute manager map, and here it shows, okay, what kind of dependencies does it have? What kind of project settings? How do the components work? What kind of information is able to be displayed? Testing out all kinds of different things like your med pack, checking if the health works, etc. And it describes all of the functions which are inside the attribute manager. And we have maps like this for every system. So if you want to get more information about such a system, please open up such a map. Just as another example, this one is the building map, which explains all the building details and how it works and how things are set up, the meshes being displayed, etc. But we are currently here for the survival template. So where can we find that information? Well, we can navigate manually to it. It's in the multiplayer survival template folder. And here we have the map. And in the map, you have the startup map. That is the one with the text. And based on which system you have here a starter, a plus, or a pro folder. In that folder, we are able to open that specific map. Please be aware, the first time opening this could take a long time because it needs to compile all the shaders that is of all the meshes and all the assets that are enabled in that specific map. So we see that this map is loading. And for me, all my shaders are compiled. So when I press play, it will also show the respawn options, the default one. So the cave, the cabin, the fort, and it will work. But it's good to know if you are loading this up one of the first times and not all the shaders are compiled, it may happen that you fall through the ground because there is a delay in the game mode of the spawning. It will override to spawn the player. But you might not want to start it from this map. Maybe the first time you want to experience it from the main menu itself. So where can we find that? In the UI folder, we have the main menu, and in the main menu there is a map folder, and in the map folder there is a map called Main Menu Cave Must Pro. And when we open up that one, it should be called MST, Multiplayer Survival Template. And this one is only a cave map. So you see there's nothing outside, it's just for the visuals. We have a character right here, that which is going to be playing when we're going to stand up. So when I press play, you will see it start up the main menu. First of all, the starting screen. Here we have all the options. It will work with gamepad on the Pro version. The starter and the plus version don't have this map, so then you just need to open the specific map itself. And here we can press play, and we can press new game or resume. These three are not assigned to any buttons. And when we open one of these, it will open that specific map that we just assigned, and that is the MST Pro. And we can spawn, for instance, again at the cave. So now we're here at the cave, and we can walk outside of it and play around with it. For instance, chop down some trees, shoot some deers. That bit of lag was loading because it's first time loading in an animation, because this is a new fresh project. It should not happen in the new versions if you've already opened it. Nice, and everything works. So now we can just experiment to see what's everything that's in there. And everything here is just here as an example. The tree had a bit of collision there. We can pick up the logs. From the logs we are able to craft things like wooden planks. In the meantime, I can check out my attributes, go back to my system settings, etc. Pick up some fiber that's here in the world. Let's pick bow and arrow. The bow and arrow will automatically equip my arrows and the bow. Ooh, missed. Oh, the bow. Oh, now he's angry. Ooh. Yes, okay, got him. Pick up my arrows again. Nice. We can also swim. Like so. We can dive by pressing spacebar. We can drown because of the oxygen. Oh. And maybe just for fun, I implemented the jetpack. It's not an official feature, but you can press the J for jetpack, which I think is really fun to play around with, and especially fool around a bit, especially in multiplayer. It's quite fun. The jetpack will be recharged every time you hit the ground, so it does not have an infinite charge, because if I hold the space it will drop. Well, the charge is really big, but eventually it will drop. Oh, I got some fall damage, and when we fall down it's recharged again. Nice, some berries. And if you are really up to it, go into that cave, because there is an example boss, and that boss will be very aggressive and also very strong. Let's try it out. Oh, it saw us, so then it does that aggressive roar, and then it will go really quickly towards me, and then I roll. Reload. Jump. Nice. Oh no. Okay, I got it. He's dead. Nice. Okay. Enough to play around with. Let's dive into a bit more information about the folder structure. So when we go into the content browser, we have this main folder right here, which is called the hyper folder. And this hyper folder is segmented per individual component and individual system. I try to make it as logical as possible to separate logic, so you can find things way more easily to see, okay, here is probably the code that I need to find. Just as an example, the attribute system, you have a folder blueprint, and in the blueprint, you will find the actor components. And the actor components are the attribute manager advanced and the attribute manager basic. You will also find that for the building system. Like so, the character voice, the combat system, and etc. And obviously, code that should be is probably most probably used in that specific part, like just like this target for the bow and arrow, where the arrow is sticking in it. That's obviously a combat-related blueprint, so I put that in the combat folder. And also for the attribute manager, when you are on fire, it's an attribute state. It's a state effect. So what I do is I have created that fire effect right here, and it's basically just a particle which is assigned to the character. So based on this folder structure, you are able to find the logic that you want to find very easily, because everything is in the components. Then we have the core folder, and the core folder contains all the information that is more fundamental for each system. So what I mean with that, all the things that you can find in these systems are blueprint macro libraries, blueprints, more the abstract ones, the interfaces, data models, function libraries, and interfaces. All of these separate things, they consist together of the architecture, the foundational core of what a system needs to be. Just an example of the attribute manager, we will find the abstract classes related to attribute manager right here. And if you don't know what an abstract class is, please refer to my basics course. It should be fundamental knowledge, but basically an abstract class is an empty class which only defines and declares, for instance, methods, the functions, and variables which should be available to any other system without actually implementing it. So if we go into a function, you will see they are empty functions, and these empty functions only declare how such a function should be used in another component that's a child of it, like an advanced, etc. So it more it's more intended. It's basically an interface for communication for everything in the attribute manager in this case. Another crucial thing for the architecture is always the data model. And my data model, let's take a look at the inventory one, is also always consisting out of data tables, structures, and enumerations. The data tables are the lists of the things that are being used on a large scale. An obvious one is the items list, because there are hundreds of items in this template, and all of these items are incredibly hard to configure if you want to do them manually per item in separate actors. So what I do is I create one pickup master, an item master, and that item master is reading out the information from such a data table, and the data table is configuring that item based on the information designed for every item. If you are not yet known with data table structures, enumerations, also please take a look at that, search for the line, follow my basics course, because it should be really fundamental knowledge for you to use systems like this and be able to practice game development in general. Just an example, let's take a look at this wooden plank right here. So we have a wooden plank, it is an attribute, wooden plank, it has selected a mesh, the wooden plank as a mesh. We have assigned a weight to it, it is defined into separate categories. We can only transfer, split, or drop it. we're not able to consume it. That's not logical for a plank. And it is craftable. And this is a recipe that we know by default, sure. And we can craft it in the player, but also at a workbench. And if it's crafted, it outputs 4 at the same time. And the recipe is, it requires a wooden log. And it only requires 1 wooden log. Let's change this up to 2. And let's change this output to 5 and see what the effect is. So now we've changed it in the data table. Let's play and spawn at the cabin. It's a cool one. Let's chop down a tree. Okay. Let's pick up the logs. Oh, I hear a deer running towards me. Let's hide in the cabin quickly. So I've picked up 3 logs. Go to the crafting tab. And now you see, okay, it requires 2 wooden logs to generate one, to be able to craft the plank. But this plank is outputting 5 planks. So this one was from 5 to 10. And as you have seen, we just changed that in real time in the data table. So you see that the data tables are core of implementing a basic functionality in regards of recipes, crafting, equipment, data, the combat, the attributes that we signed to it. For instance, how much food do we get from consuming an apple? Let's find it out. Oh, here we have an apple. We have an apple mesh. Okay. What can we do with it? Inventory action. Okay, we can consume this one. That's logical. And upon consume, it's trying to read out the attribute data. And here we see assigned attributes. Okay, what does it assign? And it assigns current health. So apparently when we eat an apple, we get 15 health. And also the food is 15. But let's just say we want to have something else. We can just add something like so, and we'll say it also gives 5 energy. Or we even could say, if you eat an apple that costs so much energy, it is consuming 5 energy. So that's -5. So instead of adding it, we are decreasing it. And now when we find an apple, you will also see it automatically in the tooltip. Current energy, it will get -5. So that is the core folder. So basically the architecture, the interfaces, and the data tables with the structures. You can all find it there. And you can also search for DT_. These are all the data tables are being used to determine logic on a large scale. Cool, right? And everything outside the core folder are the implementations. So that is the active component blueprints, the advanced one, the basic one, example blueprints that are needed to be used for the world, etc., etc., etc. Let's also, just as an example, let's take a look at the equipment. So here we have a large equipment list, and it's good to know that every equipment should also be an inventory item if you want to equip it via the inventory. The reason why is if there is something in the world, it's at that moment an inventory item, and when you pick it up, it is assigned as an inventory item, but the logic of equipment is different than an inventory item. So when you equip an inventory item, it will actually read out the values of the DT equipment. Let's take an example of the hatchet. I think we have assigned a stone hatchet, and this hatchet has here somewhere below coupled equipment. Yes, it is coupled to an equipment. So which equipment is coupled to? Well, it's coupled to the stone hatchet in the equipment data table. So when we open up the equipment data table, we can find the stone hatchet. And here it will define all the information that is assigned as an equipment item on the hatchet. Some basic things, for instance, here in the equip section itself, it shows do not use equip or unequip animation. Because normally when we equipped, you saw that animation, it was picking it from its pocket and then it assigned the hatchet, it spawned it. But if we check this one, it's not needed anymore. And it's a stone hatchet. So let's just check it out if that is working. Let's go to the cave. Oh, it's a steel hatchet. So let's find the steel hatchet. Like so. And now we say don't use the equip unequip animation. And if we press play, spawn somewhere. Just an example in the cave. Now when I equip unequip it, like so, you see it doesn't play the animation anymore. It simply spawns it directly so you can instantly use it, and now it's not assigned anymore. Cool, right? So also the equipment data table, it drives all the equipment quite easily, and you can have you can figure it, you can play around with hundreds of variables just to make sure it works just to your liking. Now we just use a hatchet as an example, but hopefully we also have the pistols. Pistol, where is it? Here it is. And there is a mesh assigned to it. That's the inventory item. But here we have a mesh itself, and then we can navigate to the ranged variables. And I see, okay, how far can I shoot with this weapon? Because it is a ranged weapon. Should I spawn an effect? If so, what kind of effect? Should I use a camera shake class? If so, yes. What kind of fire modes do we include? Well, this one is only a single weapon right now. Oh, let's take this pistol. Yeah, let's take a look at the normal pistol. This one shows accepted fire mode, only single. But now I can also say, let's also accept a burst fire. Like so. And let's check out if that works. So we can press play. We spawn again. Now I have this pistol. So by default it's single fire, but I press D. Now this is a burst fire. It shoots 3 times in a row. But it was very slow. It was pop, pop, pop. That was because the time between shots is only 0.2 seconds. But if we make this smaller, now we are able to shoot quicker with this weapon. So also the burst fire will make sure it is quicker. So if we equip this one now I can also manually click quicker, and if I press burst fire, pop, 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 it will directly shoot 3 bullets. So as you can see, the equipment data table is also crucial as a fundament to apply changes to all kinds of weapons. And it's actually really fun to play around with this and adapt it to your own liking. I hope this really helps you to understand, okay, how things like this are set up. So the next thing would probably be for you to dive into the code a bit. But you will probably think, okay, how is the code assigned to a character? How can I change the default settings? Things like that. So what you can do for that, you can navigate to the world settings, and here you will see which character is. So you see it's a default pawn class. So when I open up this pawn class, you see it is spawning the character female Echo. And based on which survival template you have, it has the MST Pro, the MST Starter, or the MST Plus character. And here on the left, this is what the magic is. Here you see all kinds of components. And all of these components are placed in the folders that we just saw in all the specific modules. And all the codes of all the things are segmented. So if you want to look anything about interaction, look at the interaction. If you want to look at footsteps, look at footsteps. If you look at combat, look at combat. If you want to look at ragdoll, look at ragdoll, etc., etc. So I think because of that, it makes it really easy for you to determine, okay, this is what I need and this is what I don't. As an example, if you don't need farming, you can just press delete and it will work. However, if you don't want farming, you just need to delete the items, the farming items from the data table. So it doesn't really make sense to delete the code unless you really want to, but the code doesn't have any overhead. So that's really good to know. I will just press Ctrl Z for now and keep the farming right in. And also, if you click on all of these components, on the right you see the details. And the details are all kinds of default settings, which you can change, just like this one. Can interact trace length distance. So in the interaction, we can trace, I think this is 6.5 meters forward. Let's imagine we want this to be 20 meters. I think that's like so. So we've changed it, and now when we press play, I think we are able to interact from a distance of 20 meters. Let's play the cabin. So, oh, yeah, you see I am able to interact with the forge from here. Cool, right? And also probably the cooking pot, like so. And maybe there is a berry, like there. Oh, nice, I can pick up berries from a 20-meter distance. And that is all because we just changed the default value. That's right here. We can also decrease that to whatever value you like. And every component has default settings like that that you can just adapt to your own. The most common question will obviously be, how can I change my inventory items? And here I have an array called starting items. And all the starting items are defined right here. So you see it's an iron pickaxe. We can just select another one if you would like. You can click on delete. You could add new items like so. Let's also do some feathers. Why not? And I would like to have 10 feathers by default in my inventory. And now if I press play, we will have these items in our inventory. So spawning up, opening up, and here you see the feathers are. So take a look at all of these settings that you can find here in all the components. It's a lot of things that you can play around with. Yes, you are able to break things if you change a lot of them, but you can always revert back to the original states, whatever you would like. Now, the next thing, if you would like to go into more depth and you want to change the code, for instance. So how can we do that? On each component, especially the ones that implement the function, so not the abstract, so here the advanced one, you can click on edit. You can edit it right here, or you can open it up from the content browser. And you are able to take a look at the code. So you see, okay, we have a timer. Every 0.1 second, it is checking for interactables in radius. And if we find something, then we place a dot widget, an interactable in radius icon. Okay, that's cool. But I do not see any logic about the interaction trace itself. So where is that? Well, in this case, it's implemented in the parent. So here in the upper right, you always can check what's the parent. And now we see the basic class is the parent. So that will mean that there is functionality included in the basic class that is also being used in the advanced class. And here we see all the code of the interaction basic. And here you can also see the parent above that. That's the abstract, and the abstract is only here to declare the variables and the functions to make it more accessible without having direct references to all of the code within. So I think this is a good example on how you can navigate the code and change the values and can go really all the way with this. So I hope this gives you some great foundational knowledge of the system on what you can do with it in the beginning stages and try to adapt things. Let's see in the building advanced. Oh yeah, this is another one that a lot of people like. Here I have a boolean should stop build mode after spawning a buildable. Currently this one is true. So what does it mean? So when I equip the building plan, now when I place something like this foundation right here, it is now stopping the build mode. So I am not able to spawn instant variables of the selected building. But if I uncheck this one, let's compile it, and if I now so equipping building plan again, nice. And if I now place something, it will keep the build mode active. So now I'm able to just place new ones like this. And you can read in the lower right corner what the controls, so I can press Q to stop build mode again. So that's nice. But I don't have sufficient planks to build them. Cool. But again, a lot of settings that you can just check out and play with and adapt it to your own liking. I think we now have sufficient information about the foundation of one of the multiplayer survival templates. Just to recap, we have a lot of folders. The folders are segmented per module. You can find the logic and example maps of every system in one of these subfolders. The core folder is more about the architecture. These are the things like data tables, structures, enumerations, abstract classes, blueprint macro libraries, etc. And the multiplayer survival template maps can be found right here. And the main menu map can be found right here. And this is all crucial info for you to know, to be able to get started with this. And your character, that's the one that has assigned all the components to it. And you can define all kinds of different variables, but you can tweak the data tables, but you can also go into the code. And one last note, these are the components that are assigned to the character, but we have also assigned components to objects in the world. For instance, this forge right here. If we go into the details panel, you see it has assigned also an inventory component. So also here we're able to define the starting items like so. Gold ore, 5 gold ore, perfect. And if we test it out, now you see it has 5 gold ore, which will make sure we are able to turn this one on. Cool. Now we know all of that. Let's also take a look at some other common questions, and that is, for instance, how to migrate everything to your own project. However, I have to say, first of all, I have a couple of videos which explain how to migrate things in detail in some abstract way. All my documentations are available, which shows how to migrate each specific system if you would like. But the basic steps are always. Let's do a quick recap of the information also shown in the documentation for integration and migration. If you have a target project, you always need to update project settings on your target project, but also make sure that the plugins are enabled. After that, you migrate it, and then you can assign components to your character. And if needed, if you have overridden one of the data tables, you need to re-import them manually. But it doesn't have to be if you don't overwrite any files. Here I have an example set of plugins that are being used, but For the MSTs, more plugins are used, and you're able to check it easily what plugins you need by opening up the project. What you can do, you can navigate to the folder of your project. You can right-click on the U project file, edit it with any notepad or a text editor, and it will show what plugins are enabled in that specific project. So you also need to enable these plugins in your target. Besides that, a lot of project settings needs to be adapted. Think of things like stencil paths, custom depth for outliners, physical surfaces. If you use PCG, one of the PCG things, use a PCG plugin. A lot of trace channels like damage, interaction, buildables, and all of these things are assigned into the config files. So you can check them out real easily. You can even duplicate them, whatever works for you. You just need to make sure that you don't have conflicting settings with your own project. But that is something that sometimes takes some time to figure out, but it should be very straightforward. And now up onto the, I think, the last section of this video, and that would be if you would want to make a level like this from scratch, how would you do that? So let's just try it out and do a couple of things, and I will just go through the basics of this, and I hope that will help you out. So let's assume you've just migrated everything over, everything works perfectly, you tested it out, all the project settings are correct, you have played around with it, and there are no bugs in it that you caused. And then you can also try to make a new level. So let's try and do that. Let's just do a basic one. And this basic one, let's make a landscape. Landscape like this. Let's use our auto landscape material. Let's do the lightweight, but I would like to use a preset, and I'm going to find that one by navigating to the folder. So I have auto landscape right here, landscape materials, and here I have a master. I don't want to assign a master, I want to assign a material instance. And I have a lightweight island landscape right here. If you have the starter, it only has a dummy or example landscape. You can also use that one. It doesn't really matter as long as you use the instanced one, because that one is more adaptable and performant for use to try things. So let's try this one. I'm going to select it right here. Let's do a bit smaller landscape for now. Normally you probably have a height map or something, but for now I just take this one as an example. Create this landscape. I will create some cool hill so we know something is happening. But we also see it's black. So let's take a look at that one. The auto material layer, so in the paint layer, it is set to none. For now, I will just select one of the layers I already have. And now you can see it generates the world with the auto landscape material. It looks okay-ish. But well, it's kind of horrible right now. You can see these artifacts of the loading. That is because I have created a small landscape. Let's fix that quickly by clicking on the landscape, search for lot. And I think this one needs to be decreased because it's a small landscape. I think it should be the lot 0 screen size. So let's decrease that one. Okay, so now that artifact is minimalized. Okay, that's cool. Another thing that we see is it shows the beach, and the beach is because of a setting in the landscape itself. So if we open up this landscape right here, we can search for beach, and it shows what is the starting height and the max height. Now, well, let's do a minus 100 to 0. Save. And now you see it doesn't affect the landscape anymore, but everything below 0, like so, it will show the beach material. Cool. And we have a lot of settings like this in the outer landscape. We can define slope height, snow, all kinds of cool things. But let's just do it for now like this. And let's do the minimal height to minus. No, I like minus 100. So it's only a beach and then it's green below that. Cool. Let's make a small lake like so. Actually, we don't need to sculpt it. If we use the water plugin of Unreal Engine, we don't need to sculpt it. We just add... oh no, before we do that, I need to make sure the landscape is... I've checked, I see that the edit layer is not locked and enable edit layers is enabled. So I think it is already editable by default in the newest version. And we can search for water bodies. Let's do the lake. Yes, it is editable because now you see the landscape changes based on the spline selected. And we can find the water like this. Oh, it's the wrong zone. Here we have a cool spline and we are able to move the spline points from the water. Like so. And I am moving it down a bit so that the water and the beach material is a bit blended on the sides. Like so. I do like this. Yeah. And this is cool. So now we have something like this. But now let's test out if we are able to swim in this. Well, first of all, this world doesn't have assigned any game mode. So we don't have any character that we can spawn. So if you press play, it will choose, in this case, the spectator pawn. So it's more like a god mode. So now we need to make sure our characters. I've already predefined a game mode called MST Pro or Starter or whatever. And this game mode, basically, if you have a new game mode, it makes sure to have a HUD class assigned and a player pawn. And these two things are the most important things that are assigned here. The HUD class, that is the one that is configuring using an in-game HUD and also the in-game menu. The in-game menu is the pop-up of the inventory screen, the crafting, the attributes, the settings menu, etc. And the in-game HUD is showing optional level up, item added to the list, things like the attributes in the lower corner, the health, the hunger, etc. So we can just open this one as an example. This one is white because that is the flashbang screen, this stun screen, like so. We have some temperature state widgets, some poison, some blood spatter, all kinds of things that we are enabling, disabling based on the states. And here in the lower right corner we have the player stats, which we also able to increase in size if you want to. But now it is... Oh, I changed it to the wrong position. And that is because it has size to content to true. And if we open up this widget, it will have a size box right here, in which we're able to override any height or width, like so. But the basic is, this is the HUD that is assigned for the in-game HUD, and here is assigned the in-game menu right here, which shows the tabs like the top bar, and the top bar determines, okay, which widgets to assign to which item that we define, and the widgets are assigned here under this common activatable widget switcher, so we can switch between all of these things. And if we would just like to add something new, you can just click on add a new tab construct and make sure there is a new screen. I will just for now create a second attribute screen. Why not? And call select here the attributes. That one, and call this attribute 2. And now we also will see that widget as an option in the top bar of all the settings. And we can assign that game mode into the world settings or whatever you would like. And also the character that is assigned, that's the one that we just looked at previously in the video. That is the one that has all these components assigned. If you have your own character, you need to assign these components to your own character. But also please check the documentation on what the requirements are, because for instance, for the equipment manager advanced and the combat, certain sockets needs to be enabled on your mesh, for instance. So that's good to know. And now we have selected that one and we have set that in this game mode. I just want to add one other thing. This game mode is not only defining the palm and the HUD, but it also has this respawn handler component right here. And what it does is on post login, that is a function in the game mode, it will get the respawn handler component. So that's this one. Check what the game type is and then initialize the spawning. So that means that when you have assigned this respawn handler component, define your game type. If you have a respawn manager, obviously, that will determine the spawn locations. So now I have assigned this component to the game mode and I'm initializing this function. That means it will use the logic of that respawn component. So therefore we also need some respawn placement in the world. And you can check my respawn video. I'm explaining all the respawn logic in detail right there. But for now, let's do a quick example. Let's go to the respawn folder right here, blueprints. Let's try the open world respawn because I like that one. Let's do a respawn location open world. Cool. Let's place that right here. Let's turn it around, facing it that side, selecting the component of this respawn location. The spawn type is open world. Respawn zone is the beach, because this is a beach and it is part of a zone, and I think this one is accessible by all players. Let's try to press play. Nice, so now we see the beach as a respawn option. Press play. And it will spawn this one with the horrible attributes because we have done that in the UI. But if you like the length like this, do it like that. And now if you try to enter the water, it will not do anything. Why? Because we need a physics volume. And the most easy one to enter that physics volume is by copy pasting it from my example map, or you can press this plus button, get this physics volume right here, and try to position it correctly, like so. I'm going to scale it up a bit. This is just as an example. And here it shows this is a water volume, and that's correct. And now if I press play and I spawn, it is swimming. But as you see, there are a lot of waves in this lake, and that is because physics volumes are not yet able to update dynamically. It's a box. So what we do is in this lake setting, I am disabling the waves, or you can minimize it just how we like it. Try it out. And now you see we're swimming. However, we were floating a lot, and the heavy floating That is the buoyancy or the fluid friction. And in the physics volume right here, you see the fluid friction is at 0.3. So to check that out, we can or open up one of the example maps for the swimming. I just want to show you how you could figure things like that out yourself. So let's try open up this swimming map. Oh, obviously, let's save this new cool map. New cool map like so. And we call this map underscore new cool map. Save it. Perfect. And now we open up. So we open up the swimming example map. We also search for the physics volume right here. And here you see it uses the 10 as the fluid friction, but also the water volume. You can always check, okay, what are the modified properties? And now you see the actual modified properties. Oh, it's 15. I thought it was 10. Sorry, I saw it. And now we can try apply that same value on our own map. I knew it was, by the way, somewhere between that area. I just want to show you how you could figure out things like that. So now I press play, spawn at this beach again. And now it stays more subtle. And if you would like to have it changed a bit more up or down, then you can just move this physics volume box a bit up or down, whatever you would like. And I think this one should have gone up a small bit. Oh, now it's up too much, but I think you get the idea. And I only place that box for that specific area. So if you go into the water right here, it will not work. So you need to make sure it scales up really well. I can just place it under the world because no one will overlap with anything under the world, like so. And then put it a bit down, and that should be perfect. So what else? So now we have spawning, we have some water, we have created a very basic and I think one of the most ugly landscapes that I've ever seen. What else? Let me just try to make it a bit more interesting, like so. Oh, yeah. Obviously, we want to create trees and things like that. If you have my procedural foliage spawner, the basics PCG forest, you can get that volume, place it in this world, overlap it with everything, press generate, and bam, you have a beautiful forest, and it tries to ignore the beach, and it will ignore rocks, but it will place the rocks, foliage to pick up everything, and that works quite well. But if you don't have something like that, that will mean you need to manually paint it, and you can do that from the foliage tab right here. But to have things like that, then you need to have active foliage, and that active foliage, just an example, this aloe vera. Now it spawns this aloe vera right here. And these are actors that are being spawned, and we are able to pick them up, and we will see them in the inventory. Also see this attribute 2 tab that we made. It's really useless, but I just wanted to show you that we are able to do that. And in the pro version, everything works automatically with the gamepad, so we can also switch between these. That's cool, right? But just as an example, I don't want to paint everything manually. You can need to create all kinds of active foliage, etc. But I would just like to use the PCG volume. So I've imported my PCG system, and I have this one, and I will try to make So I place this volume right here in the world, and I will make this volume bigger, like so. Cool. It's a little bit more. And now it has spawned all kinds of cool trees. I also have this instance, and you saw the grass was not starting right. It's only starting at 300. Let's make it lower, like 50. And it will regenerate. Nice. Like so. So now we have some cool grass. I also would like to have some cool post-processing effects, so I will just copy-paste them from my MST. So now I have pasted some post-processing, which makes it a bit blurry in the back, the better lens flare, a bit more color. But the beach is a bit, it's a bit bland, so I would like to put some meshes. I'm going to click on static mesh. I think it's called shore, something like that. No, let me try. But if you are looking for meshes, they're always in the resource pack, like this one. And here I've categorized them. Here is environment. Let's check rocks. And let's do rock coast. Perfect. And let's do static mesh folder right here. Rock coast. And let's place some cool meshes. And because it's nanite, it doesn't really matter in performance in regards of the overlaps, but also in vertices. And now we can make a cool looking coastline like so. Check the spawn point right here. It's now in the map. So let's put it up a bit. Press G to view it, but I want to start here in the forest and press play. Nice. Beach location. I spawn. Now we have a world full of trees and small things that we can interact with, like the fiber, aloe vera, clover plant. Have these sticks. Awesome. And with the sticks, I think we're able to craft things like spears. So yeah, now we are already generating our own world and our own game with the spear. I'm going to equip that in the hotbar. Press equip. I can throw it like this, pick it up again. We maybe would like to have some AI. So let's go to the AI folder. Let's do some deers. And I would like to have a buck. That's the one that's aggressive. And I would like to have a doe. That's the one that flees. That's a setting also in the default settings. But AIs need a navigation mesh. So we type in nav mesh bounce volume, placed in the world. Press P so we can see the navigatable mesh area. And increase that in size. Now they are not able to navigate on the beach. If you want them, you can move it down a bit and determine yourself, okay, where do they want to, are they able to navigate or not? And if you want to have a blocking volume, you can add this modify volume and select things like, it should not be able to walk here, etc. Press play. Press the beach. Now we have the deers. Pick up a weapon. This one will flee. Oh, it attacked me once, but when I attack, they flee. Nice. And this one will attack when he sees me. Oh, or when it gets attacked, but keeps attacking. And if I'm getting hurt, my health goes down. I will die. And it says, do you want to respawn? And I say yes. And to top it off, sometimes you will get errors. For instance, in your message log when you stop playing, and especially the access none. And if you get something like that, it simply means that it is not able to get a specific a reference and that it was empty. And now it says, hey, I'm trying to get component by class on this specific branch, but the component was not valid. So I can click on it and check, okay, where is it able to try to get it? So now it says, okay, on the actor check, I'm checking, does this one have an attribute manager abstract? And if it doesn't, it doesn't do something, because now it just checks, okay, it assumes that it has one. So we now know that this one is not valid. So that means that we can just add an is valid node, like so. And if this one is not valid, then we do something else. Or you want to bypass a specific code which needs an attribute manager or whatever. It doesn't really matter as long as you program it logically for your own use case. And maybe I just want to show you one last thing before we call it a day for this video, and that is how this character works. And currently, you see I have this echo mesh right here. It's a cool character. However, I do not have all the animations specifically assigned to this echo character. And that is because I have thousands of animations which are based on the UE5. And I don't want to retarget thousands of animations only for this echo character. If a skeleton is already nearly the same as the Unreal Engine skeleton cells, just like the echo character, you can actually use some tricks. And I use that for the echo character. Here you see I have a mesh, and this mesh is right here. And this is the normal skeletal mesh of Unreal Engine, the female one. I made sure this one is not visible for players. And below this one, I have a new skeletal mesh. And that's the one that we see right now. That's the echo character. And this echo character is using the animation class real-time retarget. And what I did, I just made an animation blueprint. And the only thing that I did is I entered a copy pose from mesh. Make sure it uses the attached parent. So that was the normal skeleton. Copy the curves. Use the mesh pose. And now it is driving all the animations from this parent into this character. So the animations are still played on the mesh above this one, but it's simply invisible. And this one is the driver of different skeletons. And if the skeleton is nearly the same as an Unreal Engine skeleton, which most of them are because they are humanoid, that means you can use this trick to just adapt your own character and driving it from thousands of other skeletons. Thousands of other animations, obviously. I think this should be it. I think this should cover your first experience and should answer most of your questions about the multiplayer survival template. Obviously, everything already works multiplayer. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called multiplayer survival template. You can test it out by pressing number of players, 2, for instance, with 2 clients. So now I pressed to play with 2 players, and here is my other player. It will pop up the name of this player. I'm able to damage that other player, and I am able to switch to that player and damage that other one. And together we can do things like build, explore, kill the animals, whatever we will. So this should cover your first experience. Obviously, there is a lot more information about all of these systems, and therefore I've created a lot of documentation. If you check the links in the Discord, you see the public documentation. Everything is just open for everybody. You see for every module that we have, there is extensive documentation on if you want to migrate it separately, how does it work? What are the core functionalities? What plugins, what project settings are required? Some explanations of the code, etc. And obviously, it can happen if you don't know what to do. Use the support forums. We have thousands of people in the Discord. It's very active, and I think it will help you really to get your project started. And as always, please feel free to reach out anytime. And I hope that with this video you get some feeling about what you could do with such a system and to get your project started. I hope you have a nice day. Congrats, you have reached the end of this video. And of course, always feel free to reach out, for instance, in the comments below via Discord or mail. And don't forget to check out our website and Discord. I'm happy to talk to you there. Have a nice day. Bye.